When I first got in, I thought it was all physical. Like when I came there, I was like, okay, can I do this lift? Like,
right.
But
or even running,
Yeah, completely.
Right?
I thought it was just a purely physical thing. Like I'm going to come here and try to push a little bit of physical boundaries, but I quickly realized that all the gains I was making, it wasn't that, I just learned this magic new technique that solved everything. Absolutely, I learned techniques that helped out, but those are just tweaks that opened my mind up to the fact that like, hey, I didn't try this because I never put myself in the situation to try it. There wasn't some sea change where all of a sudden I can do these things. It was like, no, I just one day sacked it up and came in and exposed myself and just didn't turn around and walk away.
That's right.
I just stayed, and I came back the next day, and I came back the next day. The only normalcy I knew was in pants. The only normalcy I knew was not attempting physical activities that I was uncomfortable with. So it took me to get into this exaggerated gym environment where I basically just dropped my guard, and I learned what it was like to be normal in this environment. So I learned what it was like to be uncomfortable, to wear shorts, to talk about my disability in a very frank, not what's your story, but like, okay, we're gonna accomplish a task. Let's just talk about the nuts and bolts of how we're gonna do this.
Right.
And once I got in there and did that, I realized I just hadn't developed part of my personality. Like I never allowed myself to develop being exposed. I never allowed myself to develop being vulnerable physically in front of other people. And once I started doing that, then it was like, fuck, I'll try anything now.
You're guarded. You create the wall or the gate.
Yeah.
By wearing trousers or by wondering if the other person is looking at that going, geez, it's a little scary or it's a little weird, and then you don't know what they're thinking, and then you may be hindered from having a conversation.
It started with myself, and I started seeing how many positive things I could do for myself, but then immediately after, I began to realize how everybody else raised their game up when I raised my game up. It was like people were just super excited to work with me. They were happy that I opened the door for them. They didn't look at me like, what problem am I gonna have to overcome with this person? Like, I don't even know where to start. It's like, this person's really excited. And so that makes me excited to work with them. And let's see where we can go.
So when you say, well, I'm a medical internist, you suddenly go, well, there's the degrees and the schooling and the education.
Yeah.
But the problem is that two things happen. People shut themselves off from some kind of creative solution, right? And they then won't ask questions, even though they know better, because socially they're impeded to say, in his guy's say, I'm a doctor, I'm smart.
Yeah.
If you say that you have to ask a question, you open yourself, there's a vulnerability there. Aren't you the guy that knows everything?
Yeah.
And so in your case, where you meet people that have helped you along the way, they have their schooling, their book work, but it takes somebody like you that is willing to say, I'm okay if I fall down, I'm okay if I expose the leg. Personality-wise, I'd like to try as many things as we can. Why do we have to put limitations on this? So you go on a program of discovery, which is what you've done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all been trying different and new things.
Yeah.
And being open to that, and socially being open to that too.
Yeah. And I think it's a two-way relationship. The patient themselves, I think, needs to express to that doctor that they're willing to commit the time and effort to go for an extraordinary result. And I think most doctors, and most professionals, you kind of manage towards the average. It's like, you kind of walk in there as a patient and you think you're the only person on their mind, but you're the 10th patient today, the 50th patient that week, and they're just trying to get the best possible outcomes, in the most common situations for as many people as possible.
Right.
And so how are you going to be able to jog them out of their normal protocol if you're just going to be a normal patient? And so it really just became obvious to me that, hey, I need to be the guy, or I need to be the patient that meets their expertise, that I'm never going to be an expert in their field, but I can be an expert on my condition and how it affects me. So the intersection of those, exactly. And so when I started, I just learned basic anatomy about my leg. I learned the basic lingo, like distal, proximal, medial, lateral, like just so I could have a conversation. So immediately they could talk to me in a way that they didn't feel like they were telling me everything. They're like, hey, this guy actually cares enough to do these things, so maybe we can stop wasting the first 20 minutes of the appointment on just the waking the person up, but let's actually talk about solutions. And I found that through every aspect of my care, you know, the orthopedic, orthotic, and physical training. It's just